Something outside my house.
It was a cold, crisp December night in southern Mississippi. I was returning home after a long, tiresome day on the police department. It was a little after midnight when I finally made it home. I noticed that my roommate, who worked strange hours at a local casino, had not made it home yet. I wasn't worried. Sometimes he didn't get home till 4 a.m. or later, so I went inside to unwind and relax. After checking on the 3 dogs we had, I settled into some comfortable clothes, turned off all the lights, and kicked on the TV. About an hour into relaxing, and damn near asleep, I heard a howl, I guess, way off in the distance. It wasn't unusual to hear animal noises where I was, as we lived off the beaten path near a power junction, and not much else. Sure, we had neighbors, but due to the odd hours we worked, we never met any of them. Around 2 a.m. I heard the howl again, but this time it was closer. Much closer. If I had to describe the howl, it was a cross between a wolf howl and a screech owl. It was terrifying. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and I turned off the TV. I'm guessing the sound was about 100 yards away, but I feared it was getting closer. As I listened intently, I began to hear someone, or something, walking on the frozen, crispy foliage on the ground outside the house. I heard branches from the trees across the street breaking, and this is about the time I expected the dogs to start barking, but they were silent. Our 3 dogs, all mixed breeds, were not very big, but would defend the yard fiercely. Their silence gave me more reason to be concerned. I began to hear more, heavier footsteps right outside my home. I grabbed my pump shotgun and sat next to the bed facing a window in my room. My window had a wonderful view of the floodlight the county put up shortly before we rented the place. As the sense of impending danger loomed outside my house, I hoped my roommate was working extra late, as I didn't want him to run into whatever this was. I sat motionless on the floor, gripping my shotgun tightly, laser focused on the window. I knew if anything passed by the window, I would get a silhouette of what might be out there. The footsteps got louder and the crunching sound got heavier. Then I saw it. A large, hulking figure with a dog-like head walked into the light. Its silhouette filled my window as it stood up and raised its head. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was frozen in fear. My dogs, who were always quick to bark, were dead silent. The creature stood up taller and let out the most blood-curdling sound I have ever heard. My blood ran cold and I was paralyzed by a primal fear. After a few moments, I heard the footsteps walking away as the creature let out one last bone-chilling howl. I sat there until my roommate came home around 5 a.m. I sat him down later that day and explained what had occurred that night. I was relieved to not be ridiculed, but left uneasy when he explained that this is not the first time he is hearing of such a creature. Yeah, I've heard about it before. You're not the first to see something like that around here.
He went on to explain that for about the last 30 years, stories have been told by locals of some unknown beast that prowls the woods in the area and never go into the woods after dark.
We went outside to feed the dogs, and they were very happy to see us. We learned later on that one of our neighbors, about a mile away, found her dog dead about 100 yards from her home in the woods. Half eaten and its remains scattered about.
I don't know what I saw that night, but judging by the height of the windowsill, this thing had to be almost 8 feet tall. It was large and had a head like a German shepherd, only 3 times the size. It was not a night I wish to repeat. It has been many years since that occurred, and thankfully it hasn't happened again.
People think that the police are mentally and physically prepared for whatever situation arises, but they would be wrong. I don't care how much training one receives, it can never prepare you for something like what I experienced that cold December night.